This week in the European Parliament we've been discussing how to deal with tax evasion in the light of the Paradise Papers revelations about offshore investments. Of course, not every investment outside the UK is offshore. Some of you might have seen the stories this week about John Redwood, the MP for Wokingham, or rather should I say John Redwood, the Chief Global Strategist for Charles Stanley. Charles Stanley are a firm of investment managers in the City of London. In an article in the Financial Times, Mr Redwood tells prospective investors that their money could be better invested outside the UK. As someone who ran a business in Mr Redwood's constituency and worked for 15 years to attract investment to Berkshire, I find this something of a conflict of interest. Can you imagine the outcry if a Labour MP had given such advice in a public way? I've no doubt that any of us would have been denounced as unpatriotic or talking the country down or whatever. But what you need to know about this is that Mr Redwood is paid about £180,000 a year by Charles Stanley, for which he works about 300 hours a year. That's a whacking £600 an hour. He is also paid by a range of other bodies for fees and for writings and so on. All a lot more than double his MP's salary of £75,000 a year. Most people, I think, would conclude where his loyalties would probably lie, or certainly where his interests would lie in this situation. Now, I've not got a problem with John Redwood earning money in the city, but the fact is his public profile depends on being a Member of Parliament, or at least it did. It's all perfectly legal and it's all appropriately registered, and of course clients pay firms like Charles Stanley for honest, open advice, and there's nothing wrong with advising clients in private. But is it really right for the MP of a governing party to advise people to take their money out of the country at a difficult time and to get paid a small fortune for doing so? Some of us would say, far from being patriotic, Mr Redwood's behaviour is blatantly mercenary, and he needs to consider what that conflict of interest is.